What in God's name are the Jets going to do with Zach Wilson? And can New England actually, potentially, squeak into the playoffs?
I'll start with Zach Wilson first. So, Zach Wilson against the Patriots, he's just not the answer as far as I see it. Just because whenever Zach goes up against the Patriots, Bill Belichick makes him look like a high school quarterback. And in the first matchup that they had, he had 3 interceptions. And honestly, some of the decisions that he made put the Jets behind the 8 ball. And he was one of the reasons why they lost that first matchup at home. And then you transition to this game. And I will say that Zach Wilson was a little bit smarter with his decisions in this game compared to the first matchup, simply just because he didn't turn the ball over. So, I mean, I guess that's somewhat of a step in the right direction. But that pretty much outlines all the positives I could say about Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson had 9 completions in 22 attempts. 9. And this is really where you could give a boatload of credit to that Patriots defense because they locked it down. They were not going to give anything to Zach Wilson to throw to. It didn't really matter who was getting the ball, whether it was Denzel Mims, Elijah Moore, Garrett Wilson. Those guys were all locked down. The top receiver, which is like a tie for like the 4 receivers on the Jets receiving core, everybody had like 2 receptions. So the Patriots secondary, I mean, they just locked it down and they weren't giving the Jets anything to work with. But there were times where Zach could have extended some drives, kept some drives alive, and he just couldn't do it. And I understand that in this game in particular, weather was definitely a factor simply because it was really windy and there were crosswinds swirling throughout the stadium. So that definitely made it a little bit more difficult with passing. But Zach Wilson is the leader of this offense. And in the second half, the Jets offense had 2 total yards. 2. Like, I understand the Patriots have a good defense. I don't know if it's that good. And it really kind of like indicates the situation that Zach Wilson has against the Patriots. He just flat out sucks against them. And to a larger extent, I thought that Joe Flacco should have gotten some reps because Zach Wilson wasn't doing anything. The entire Jets offense had around 100 to 105 total yards against the Patriots. They scored 3 points in a game where the defense for the Jets kept them in it. Mac Jones actually had a relatively decent day. They were able to move the ball up and down effectively. But the Jets defense had 6 sacks against Mac Jones in the Patriots offense. In a large part, they gave the Patriots offense absolute fits once the Patriots got to the Jets 30-35 yard line. They were not letting the Patriots move any way, shape, or form towards that end zone. That's why the Patriots only scored 3 points before running back the punt return with like 10 seconds left in the game that ended up being the only touchdown scored and the game-winning touchdown to boot. So when I look at Zach Wilson, I still see some sort of potential with him, but when it comes to the Patriots, he simply just can't do it. And I can't fathom this. The Jets just beat the Bills. They just beat them a couple weeks back. And then they follow it up with this, where they score 3 points. They're coming off of a bye. And you would think that they would have some sort of rhythm, something to go to get some sort of kickstart on the offense against this Patriot defense. And they had nothing. So when it comes to the Jets, they got to really consider whether or not that Zach Wilson is going to be the guy for their future. Because as far as I see, I think Joe Flacco may have been a better option than Zach Wilson, just because I don't think Zach's that guy. And not only that, the fact that Zach was told in a press conference whether or not that he let down the defense, and his answer was no. You got to do better than that, bro. You can't say that when you only have 9 completions in a game. You're better than that. You were given ample opportunities to be able to move that Jets offense to the position, and you simply couldn't do it. So the fact that you're deflecting blame in that regard, that's a poor reflection on him, and he needs to play better because, man, you can't say that when you only put up 9 completions and you threw for 77 yards and the team had 2 yards of offense in the second half. So I'll leave the Jets part and Zach Wilson there. And then to kick it to the Patriots, I'm not really impressed with the Patriots, to be honest with you. The only thing that I'm impressed with is their defense. Their defense is the only reason that they're going to be a viable team moving forward because this offense, they're just not that good. And it's not because of Mac's inconsistencies, I think it really comes down to the offensive linemen. The offensive linemen are failing. They gave up 6 sacks to that Jets defense today. Give credit where credit is due. The Jets definitely deserve a lot of credit for their defensive performance. They played an A-plus performance as far as I'm concerned. And when it comes to the Patriots playing against the Jets, they've given up 12 sacks against them in the 2 matchups this year. Granted, they've won both of them. I don't know how, but they were able to get wins in both of those matchups. And despite the fact that Mac was relatively good in this game, he only had like 3 or 4 incompletions. They just can't move the ball towards the red zone and get touchdowns. It's an absolute struggle for this team to get touchdowns in any way, shape, or form. And I think this really kind of goes back to the play calling issue in the coaching personnel. Because when it comes to Matt Patricia, there are just some play calls where I'm just kind of baffled at the selection. And it's really indicative of what I would say the gap between what Josh McDaniels was calling for plays last year and this year. It just seemed like Mac had a better control of the offense last year in his rookie season compared to this year. It just seems like everything is disjointed. And to a larger extent, the entire offense just seems dysfunctional because of that. Granted, they're still winning. They're at a 6-4 record. It's not because of the offense. It's because of the defense. So if the Patriots are going to be some sort of playoff team, they got to get this offense rolling because they actually have some decent pieces to work with. But I think it's going to be an uphill battle for them. They probably lost David Andrews for the year. He suffered a pretty significant thigh injury, and the Patriots were banking on him to come back because he'd been dealing with some injuries throughout the season, and you could tell that they missed his presence. And with him potentially out for the rest of the year, that offensive line is going to continue to struggle, and we'll just kind of see what happens with the Patriots moving forward. But they are sitting at a 6-4 record. They own the tiebreaker over the Jets, but they still got to play teams like the Bills, and I believe they play the Dolphins one more time. And I think that both of those teams are better than the Patriots. So the Patriots got a long way to go as far as I'm concerned. And if I had to guess whether or not they're going to make the playoffs, I'm actually going to say no. I don't think they have the pieces to be able to make some sort of playoff run. If they do, they'll make it by the skin of their teeth, and it will be the defense leading the way. It will not be because of the offense, because the offense is too dysfunctional. So, Kev, my rant's over with. You can take it from here, bro.
Dude, I have ranted and raved about my teams forever. So please do not ever apologize for going through what you just did. Mine are normally a lot longer, so I'll just keep this brief. Zach Wilson, you're soft. I don't want to hear it. Like you're charming soft. To quote Kyle, how dare you rebuttal with no to a straight out question? Do you feel like you let the defense down? When you put up 2 total yards of offense, negative 21 yards, mind you, of passing yards in the second half. Again, negative 21 passing yards, not offense, not rushing, passing. You suck, period. You're not the savior. You're not the guy that was from BYU. Kyle and I talked about this over and over and over pre-draft when you were drafted. Your sample size was not something that was impressive. You didn't play anybody, and in big games, you falter. The Jets are reliant solely upon running the ball and solid defense. And once again, when you put the ball in Zach Wilson's hands, like I predicted, you're not going to be productive. I don't have faith in him. If there's a big game on the line, if there's a drive, you're down 1 point, you just got to get in the field goal range. I don't have faith that Zach Wilson can do that. Kyle, do you have faith? I don't. This is a joke. 0% of me has faith in Zach Wilson moving forward. Oh, Kev, he's only played a total of like 1 full season. You got to let him develop. It's always let somebody develop, and we're not paying attention to what we're doing here. 9 completions, negative 21 yards in the second half. Bro, it's over. Bro, I'm done with you. At that point, I'm looking to put in Joe Flacco for some reps, like Kyle said. I'm looking to maybe trade Zach Wilson, try to get a real quarterback. The defense that the Jets have right now is too good to let time waste. The AFC East is only going to get better because the quarterbacks in this division are Mac Jones, Josh Allen, and Tua Tagovailoa. All of them are in their 20s. This is only going to get worse as they get better throughout their careers. The defenses of each team in this division are very good. Obviously led by Buffalo's defense and, of course, New England. You can make an argument that the Jets' defense might be better than New England. It really depends. But it's just a matter of the Jets underperform when Zach Wilson has to lead the way. And for me, Usually, a quarterback leading the way is when I'm most comfortable, having a good running attack, a good offensive line, and all that stuff. But you need someone that's going to put up points. Zach Wilson's not that guy. Kudos to Bill Belichick for once again taking away the most important thing, which was the run game from the Jets. Found a way to get another huge win, and they moved to 6-4. When a lot of us, including Kyle, who's a Patriots fan, thought that this season wasn't necessarily a wash, but he didn't really have much faith that this team would be very good this year. And again, neither did I. Here we are, 11 weeks in. Zach Wilson has an opportunity to take over this game multiple times, as it was a literal 0-0 basically score game through the whole way because it was tied. And he couldn't muster not one drive. I'm over him. I think that he's washed. I don't think he was ever good, should I say. And I'm ready to pack it up and get rid of him. If I'm a Jets fan, bro, I'm out. I'm done. You can't beat the team that I need you to beat every year. You cannot beat the Patriots. You beat the Bills. Woo. Congratulations. You followed up with this performance. Trash. I have no faith in you. And that's all I'm going to say.
Kev, I did forget to mention this in my little diatribe rant, whatever you want to call it. This is the 14th time in a row the Patriots have beaten the Jets.
That's not healthy.
14 times in a row.
That's not healthy.
And this, honestly, if I'm on that defense, speaking about the Jets, this is the game that they should have won.
100%.
This was the game. You hold the Patriots to 3 points. 3 points.
This was a special teams
The
thing.
special teams got the touchdown. But you hold them to 3 points and you lose? Bro, I'd be pissed. Especially if my freaking quarterback goes out there and says he's not the reason why we lost. That's a bad look. Especially
Bro, it's Robert Saleh's fault. You didn't know? It's all the head coach's fault. It's the defense's fault. It's the special team's fault. You know what? It's the punter's fault for punting the ball to Marcus. It's the punter's fault. Everybody's but Zach's. -21, bro. I'm gonna keep that number in my mind for the rest of the season. -21 passing yards
in the second half.
And you're gonna say no, bro? If I'm anybody on that defense, I'm looking at you in the locker room with the dirtiest look. Like
what are you saying?
What did you do today? Like, you come to work and this is what you do, and you get paid more than me.
Like, it'd be one thing if you put up like 150 yards, but he threw the game losing interception or something like that. It would be different. No. Two total yards in the second half. 2
of offense.
Yeah, total offense.
Right. -21 in passing. I'm not going to stop repeating that. That might be one of the worst second half stat lines I've ever seen in my life.